Time for Law and Disorder.
I demand a lawyer.
With attorney Jeff Kaufman on 101.1 WJRR.
It's Orlando's rock station. Jeff Kaufman from Kaufman Lynd, fine personal injury firm here in Central Florida. If you or someone you know has been injured in a car accident, slip and fall, whatever the circumstances may be, and you think you might need legal representation, might not be bad to grab the ear of Jeff and run your situation by him.
Many ways to get in touch with him. Jeff at whenyouneedus.com is his direct email. That's Jeff at whenyouneedus.com. Pound 546 on your cell or 407-500-JEFF.
I, just before we went on the air, I had been entertaining the idea of going to see Joker 2, but after you just pretty much blew the thing out of the water here, I think I'm going to go ahead and mend those plans.
Yeah, we took about 800 people. A couple of your listeners showed up for that one on Thursday. And, normally I would say, hey, listen, it's not my opinion, but it was like a funeral leaving this place. I mean, I had to apologize people for their loss. It was, and I'm into this stuff. It just was something. And it might be your taste. There might be people out there, because I think 1 out of every 100 people tell me, oh my God, Jeff, it was great. I'm going, wow.
You're a dark person.
Well,
I've
yeah.
heard it basically how you said it was a steaming pile.
You realize this, if you're not in the mood for a musical and a depressing music where they sing like songs from the 50s, you might want to not go. Just saying.
Hey, I saw this. I thought of you immediately. Boy, what a lucrative case this is going to be. There's a mega mall in New Jersey called the American Dream Mall, American Dream Mega Mall.
One of the second biggest mall.
Yeah. There are now 3 lawsuits against them by mall patrons who have been injured by motorized plush animals, which I guess you can rent out.
Yeah, they're little kids things. They've had them for years.
Yeah, well,
they're little. I mean, when I say they don't move, that they're like electric, and little kids ride them. I mean, they're tiny.
I guess they're big enough to knock over a pregnant or a woman who recently gave birth to a baby and was holding the baby.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what happens is it's probably an independent contractor who's renting those things.
I can't believe a mall would even sign off on this idea in this day and age.
I've seen them. They had one at the, which is the one with the Bass Pro Shop in it?
Oh, the
International?
Mall at Millennial or whatever?
Well, it's called Desi World or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, they changed the
Denzel
name.
World.
Deezer, or
Yeah, they used to have those all over. And my son used to, when they were little, my kids, when they were like
These
4
nuts.
or 5, they used to ride them.
Really?
And I mean, they were just little plushes. I mean, they don't move fast, like 5 miles an hour, and they're just like, I mean, you don't really race them. I mean, maybe they jack these things up. Well, but who knows?
Yeah, even though this is the second biggest mall in the country, you have to do something to get people to come to malls, right?
Yeah, I mean, malls are dying. I mean,
Yeah.
I just saw something the other day about these malls, and, you have a problem when people have to rent these places. So some of these places have upwards to 300 stores in it, and look at all the death to retail lately.
Yeah, they're good. They're supposedly, we reported about a year ago, they're making pickleball courts in a lot of them.
Oh, yeah.
What do we got from the listeners this morning, 22526?
Hey, Jeff, recently my work sent a memo saying that even if you work through lunch and don't clock out, they will still take the hour from your paycheck. Is that legal?
First off, you can't work overtime without getting paid. But here's the caveat. They tell you to take a lunch, and you arbitrarily choose not to, or you forget to clock out or something else like that. I've seen people get fired for that. Or said, listen, we're not paying you overtime. We don't want you to work during this time. Don't work. So if I were you, unless they're telling you you can't clock out,
Take the lunch.
you take your lunch. But if they're wink, wink, this is supposed to be for lunch, and they're insinuating that you should be working,
That's another problem.
that's a problem.
Yeah.
Definitely don't do with that. So yes, you can't, when you're on the clock, you're on the clock. They can't tell you to, how can I say it, not be on the clock.
Yeah. All right.
Would you prefer to work the traditional 9 to 5 day, or with an hour for lunch, which means you only get paid for 7 hours, or would you rather be a 9 to 6 where you actually work 8 hours and get an hour for lunch?
I don't know.
Well, some people do the half-hour lunches. Like in my office, people choose. They go, well, I want the full hour. I want a half hour. I mean, it's all over the place with that stuff sometimes.
What about you, Lyncher?
No, I would want the full 40 hours, so I'd probably up for the
Yeah.
Okay, landlord didn't renew lease before selling his property. Didn't let anybody know. Now the new company is raising our rent over $100. Is there any way to fight this?
What you're saying is that the new place is bound by the lease that's concurrent. But if the lease is expired, then yeah, they can charge you whatever they want to based on the lease itself. The lease says holdover tenants or the next lease, and it doesn't discuss how much the next term is. Then you're going to have to pay what the person says it is.
So
that sucks. I'm sorry, man.
Yeah.
But that's that I have that issue too. I also lease a condo, and I have to make normally like 4 or 5 months ahead of time. I ask because moving is a pain.
Oh God, yeah. Hey, Jeff, my plaintiff attorney lost my case on an MSJ hearing. Is it worth an appeal, trip, and fall case?
Okay. MSJ means motion for summary judgment. It means that the other side is saying they get to win before you go to trial. And it's basically based on the concept that it's a legal issue, meaning that the judge has ruled that said, hey, listen, even a jury, this doesn't have to go to a jury. So it happens all the time. For example, a slip and fall, a lot of times it deals with what they call viscosity, meaning, how slippery the floor is. A lot of times they'll find that the person has cleaned it within a period of time and it falls under this. I mean, just because you slipped and fall in something doesn't mean that the person's responsible. In the state of Florida, they say if it was cleaned up or checked within a certain period of time, then the place is okay. So if I have to guess, it had something to do with they found out later and were able to prove that they had checked and cleaned the area within a reasonable amount of time. So I think that's probably what happened to you.
Okay.
And very rarely can that be appealed in cases like that.
Somebody texted about the Joker movie, said, thank you, Kaufman. We still enjoyed a night out. Even though the movie was a little on the poor side, it's okay. Just didn't like the ending.
I was wondering if I could sue
you
for
$12.
I wanted to sue for fraud because I've spent a lot of money on that movie, and I wanted to go, somebody should write me a check.
Wow.
Because it was bad. And the poor side, I think he was being generous. When people came by me, they had that look in their face like, what did you do to us? And I was like, I didn't make the movie. I didn't. And the worst thing is the director was the same guy who wrote and directed The Hangover. How could you make a Joker movie not funny at all? I mean, not a single line in that movie you're going, oh, that's funny. Nothing.
And that was from a girl, by the way, what you said when he said, if your rental becomes unlivable due to storm damage from a hurricane, are you still required to pay rent during the time you're unable to stay at home?
It's a tough call. You're dealing with what they call act of God. And that means that, hopefully the guy has insurance. Hopefully he fixes it within a reasonable amount of time. But, you could be held responsible for it. But if he chooses not to fix it in an unreasonable time, that's on him. And it can be called what they call a constructive eviction, which means that, you were basically evicted from the benefit of your property.
Okay. Can I sue the county police for wrongful arrest of case that was dismissed during probable cause hearing?
Wow, that was a lot.
Here you go. Look, right there. I knew you were going to say that because it's just the way.
What she's asking for is that, the police weren't aware that the warrant in the system was wrong. You have to show that they did something and they acted unreasonably in this situation. You might be able to go after the person who put something in the system that was wrong, but good luck trying to find them. I mean, police are doing their job on the most part. When they pull you over and it's in the computer, if it says something, they act on it. Unless the police officer knew that this warrant was bad or something else like that. But it does sound like, that they were acting in good, with reasonable knowledge.
Okay. Don't forget to get in touch with Jeff directly for personal injury questions. It's jeff@whenyouneedus.com. Can I lose my job if I join the Coast Guard Reserves and have to go to training for 3 weeks?
Normally, companies have to, make accommodations for you when you're in the military. I don't know how big this company is. I don't know their rules. You did this after you took the job. So they might say, yes, you changed, your agreement with us by, not being available for your job.
So you're basically saying that may be something if you're entertaining the idea of doing that,
yes.
Find out either ahead of time
what the policy of the business is.
Or talk to your current employer, say, hey, I'm thinking of doing this.
Some places aren't. This is a difference between being, brought into combat where they say, hey, listen, they have to keep your job open or something like this. This is you joining after you were in the company. And honestly, I don't think you're covered in this situation like this.
Ooh. All right.
I know that sucks, and I'm sorry. I don't mean to. It seems like bad news Hurricane Monday. I wish I could say everybody's got a case.
That's
but
right.
Here's the thing about the law: people don't get. You can get in an accident and still not. The law still might not cover you because there are rules of law. Like I said, slip and falls are really based on a lot of rules. And now in the state of Florida, this is the way this works. As of about a year and a half ago, is that if whatever accident you're in, if you could be found 50% or more responsible for your injury, you get nothing. Mm-hmm. Florida used to be a completely comparative negligence state, which means, let's say they were 25% responsible, they'd be responsible for 25%. But the Florida Congress got in with the insurance companies and changed that rule now. So now slip and falls and premises cases like property cases are a lot harder to prove because companies are more likely to fight things where they say, wait a minute, we have a shot, and walk away with nothing.
If we didn't get to your question this morning, we'll set him aside and get him in front of Jeff next to go around. Or you can reach out to him directly this week, and he can talk to you that way.
Told you his direct email is jeff@whenyouneedus.com. That's jeff@whenyouneedus.com. Or you can do pound 546 on your cell, or give him a call directly at 407-500-JEFF.
Take care of yourself and park your cars a little higher than you used to because that water's going to come in and it'll be over your car before you know it.
Jeff Kaufman from Kaufman Lynd. Appreciate it, Jeff.
Anytime.
Lynch and Taco.